You start recording first.
Well, no, did you start recording first?
I did.
Okay.
I started recording.
All right, are you ready? Ready as we'll ever be.
I was going to say I was born ready.
It's born ready.
Which is like so not me for anything.
All right, ready? Hello and welcome to the Walk and Love podcast. I am TJ.
And I am Brooke.
Wow. And we're bringing some weird energy to the show today. And we're going to try something new. Weirder. So hold on to your hats, I guess. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week. We do have some weird energy coming in. We were listening to Gangnam Style before we started. Yeah, that song. So that's just where our headspace is. And I'm wearing the party shirt. Mm-hmm. Got the TJ Face shirt on. So if you're here for it, you're here for it.
Yeah.
And if this is your first episode, let's get weird. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us part of your week. We are going to try something we've never done before today. And we're sort of excited about it. No, I'm excited about it. I'm worried that it will be a flop.
Oh.
Like that it won't work.
It won't be interesting?
It won't be interesting. Not that it won't be interesting, that it'll be like difficult for us to like
do.
Maybe. We'll see. But before we get to that, we got a review. Actually, before we get to that and that.
Let's back up all the way.
Okay, so suddenly I found myself awake. It's sort of I won't get into it yet. Brooke, I hope you're ready and you're here for it.
Apparently I'm holding on to my hat. So
okay.
let's do it.
Because we were listening to Gangnam Style,
okay,
we're going to start off with some Mount Rushmores.
Ooh, all right.
Mount Rushmore, mountains, a cavern, I can fly. Ah! Did you see that?
Ooh,
you
is that an eagle or like a falcon?
It's a man turning into a falcon who had fallen down into a cavern.
Right.
I'm free.
Right.
Lightning.
Oh, no.
Now he's dead.
It's a storm. Gotta look out for those cavern storms. They'll get you.
I mean, the Everstorm will get you. So will the Stormfather if you're on Roshar. Anyways, I don't want to go. I don't want to get that. I don't want to get that.
Yeah, we don't need to get into it.
Yeah, but the Rhythm of War was very good.
Okay.
I finished it. Chapters like 118, 116, 117, 118. After you're about 40 hours in,
right,
gets real good. That's all I'm saying.
I hope that's how people feel about me.
So
when Brooke was like 86, 87, 88, 89, that's when she got real good. She got
real good. So first you have to get through 45 hours for the first book, 50 hours for the second book, 50-ish hours for the third book. Okay. Then get 45 hours into the third book. That's
a sweet spot. That's a sweet spot, baby.
Actually, book 2 is still my favorite.
Okay, good. But yeah, let us know.
Parts of book 1 and all of book 2 are my favorite.
Okay.
If you're here for the
if you're still with us, let's back up a little bit.
So Mount Rushmore of hip hop songs.
Okay.
This is an impossible Mount Rushmore to do.
Oh yeah, I could literally do one for like every year.
So we just kind of like looked up a couple lists and kind of just were like, oh yeah, that one has to go on it.
Yes.
It's not one-hit wonders.
No, that would be a different list for me.
And it's not like pop songs that are actually good. Not that these songs are bad, but it's not like you started playing Fun.
Yes. Don't sing it. We'll get YouTube will know. Never mind. Anyways, we're gonna be fine.
You were playing. I'm sorry. What? You don't think?
I don't think the algorithm's gonna catch that one.
No. Interesting. I thought it was a perfect rendition. Anyways, we're gonna do a Mount Rushmore of pop songs that we actually like, really, really like. This is more of like a pop songs that were just like super hits that every time they turn on, you're like, okay, I can sing along to this.
Yeah.
This is probably inspired by one that we were listening to Gangnam Style for some reason. I think it's because I said to Brooke, "Hey, sexy lady," and then it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
We used to play this game when we shot weddings for 7 years. We heard every pop song in those 7 years.
Yeah.
Like every super pop song that was like a big hit.
Yeah.
And so when we would drive to weddings, this was I think this was in our old car. We didn't have like any way to play our own music.
So it was the radio.
Yeah. So it was the radio. We would listen to pop radio, or Brooke would drive in silence like a psychopath. And we would take bets on like, okay, I'm going to bet this song, like at a commercial break, we'd be like, okay, I'm going to guess this song is going to play next. And then Brooke would guess a song and then I guess a song. And like, it was so easy because pop radio literally only plays like 7 or 8 songs an hour. And they're always the same. And so we like knew every pop song. And so I think most of these fall in that era.
Which is like the 2000s.
Yeah. So for me, my Mount Rushmore of super hit pop songs is Gangnam Style by Psy. Skater Boy, that's an old school. That's an OG. And that actually might make the other list too of pop songs that are actually so good.
Amazing.
By Avril Lavigne. Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
and Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
That was a big one for us when we were shooting weddings a lot.
We heard that one a lot.
Yeah, it's a
What
great
about
song.
you?
It's a great song.
Great song.
Mine would be Call Me Maybe.
Ooh, that
Carly
was another
Rae.
one that we heard.
Although I wrote Calorie Ray. That's Carly Rae. I'm aware. Carly Rae Jepsen. 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton.
Okay.
Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars, which I don't actually know the song that well. No. But if it, again, comes on at a wedding, people lose their minds.
Yeah.
For good reason.
Yep.
I had a couple once, that was their intro song. So like the bridal party got announced to something else. And then it was like, ladies and gentlemen, please, at the reception, please stand. The moment I cry every time.
For Mr. and Mrs. For whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And they danced. They came into that song and they had a quasi-coordinated dance to the whole thing. And it was...
That's some dedication.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. Still remember it. And then...
This is a good one.
Your Love Is My Drug by Kesha.
Who's kind of a spirit animal for you, right?
Go, Kesha. Right.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
She has a $ in her name.
Not anymore. No.
Oh.
Because I typed it like that, and then I was like, oh, wait, this just says Kesha. No $.
No $. So
that's a question we should Google.
Yeah. So you're not sure.
Oh, that should be a segment. Things I've Googled recently.
That should be a segment.
Because it's some good stuff.
Well, I'll start it off right now. Things I've Googled lately. Search. That's pretty good.
I would like really fast, like cat keyboard, like typing.
Ding.
Okay.
Searching.
I wish it did that.
Mansions that no one wants to buy. So my dad has been on this kick of sending me YouTube videos of entire towns people can buy for like $1 or for free. You just have to agree to live there. They're like towns that I think I've only watched parts of the videos. Sorry, Dad, full disclosure. I think most of them are towns like during the gold rush. And so they're like, kind of on the West Coast. And they're just like, they look like prop cowboy towns.
Right. You're like, this is a set.
Yeah.
Is that for a very scary movie?
Yeah. And he, and if they were drivable, like if we could drive to them and it would be like a weekend thing that me and my dad could do to like fix up an old town.
Okay.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
But.
Shocker.
So there I am. Things we've Googled lately. Mansions that no one wants to buy. I literally need to look
mine up because I don't remember.
And these aren't mansions that are cheap. They're still expensive, but no one will buy them and they keep dropping the price by like millions of dollars.
Well, this weekend in Florida.
Things I Googled. Searching.
Sort of off of that. Renee was like, oh, she was on Instagram and she was like, have you seen Zillow Gone Wild? And I was like, no, what's that? And it's an Instagram account called Zillow Gone Wild. I believe that's what it's called.
Okay.
And it's the most outrageous listing photos of houses all over. And it's so great because it starts off normal and you're like, oh, I mean I don't love the wallpaper, but
yeah.
And you swipe and you swipe and you swipe and then it's like boom,
tiger cage,
prison in the basement.
Oh,
real thing that happened. And then you're like next house and you're like, oh, I mean I don't love it's like odd and then it's like boom, jungle room with a waterfall, like just like the most outrageous. That's amazing.
Things. Yeah, so those are probably there's probably some crossover.
Yeah, I would think so.
In mansions that people don't want to buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are Mount Rushmore, mountains. Oh, I'm free.
Gonna have to remember that sequence of events for a long time now.
Sometimes I just find myself so funny, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We'd love to know yours. Super pop songs. Now the review of the week. Best podcast ever, 5 stars.
Ooh.
Hello, one of your few male listeners here. Thank you for listening. Thanks, bud. Yo, what's up? Thanks, bro. It's cool.
I like it.
You guys are nothing short of awesome. At my wife's suggestion to the podcast, I listened to them all in about 2 weeks, which that is so impressive.
I want to find a podcast like that.
And also a little terrifying.
That's a lot of us.
That's almost too much. That's probably too much of me. It's just enough of Brooke. Too much of TJ. It was so good. I learned so much and can relate to you both so well. We love you guys and can't wait to hear more of your stories. We plan to implement some of your routines and rhythms into our own family and marriage as well. Thank you for being you. Okay, I love you. Bye. Jeremy from Lebanon. Thanks, Jeremy.
Lebanon.
What's that song? Lebanon. No, never mind.
Oh, yeah. It's a parachute. No. Yes.
Yeah, it's a parachute song.
Parachute song. That's not what he's saying.
But it sounds like it, and Brooke ruined it for me. She's like, hey, I don't know if you want
something. My loving on. He's saying
loving
on.
Loving on.
And I was like, doesn't it sound like he's
saying Lebanon and baloney? Like, well, it does now.
Ruined forever.
I added one song to the Song of the Week playlist, the regular one. It's called Tell Her You Love Her, featuring Matt Carney by Echo Smith. And it seems to be meshing with the book that I'm reading called Strong Daughters, Strong Fathers, or Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. I can't ever remember which one's first.
I think it's fathers first.
Right, because then we
Strong
produce
Fathers, Strong Daughters.
And when you listen to this song with the perspective of a dad who has daughters, it's like, I'm wrecked forever.
Yeah, maybe
all the time.
Don't be in the Starbucks drive-thru when that's happening.
But there's a line, it's like when she tells you she loves you, tell her you love her too. Give her a reason to love all you do. She'll tell you secrets. You'll tell her yours too. She'll tell you all her hopes and dreams. And like this book that I'm reading is just about how the important role. Obviously, both parents have a super important role. She's not throwing moms under the bus, but it's about the
author
of the book. She's a woman. I think she's a mother. So like
probably
she has a father. And so it's just like about the power of father-daughter relationships and why they're so important and valuable, and culture doesn't acknowledge them. And it's just so good, and it's like very challenging. Because like right now, the part that I'm reading is about like the eating disorders that your daughter could potentially have, and like the role you play in preventing that or being there when that happens. It's like, it's heavy stuff, especially because I have a 6-year-old or 5, she's almost 6. And so like, I'm not there yet, but like, I want to be ready for when I'm there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that song paired with the book, it's a lot for my emotions.
Right.
Emotions are hard. Strongly agree. So we added that song. That was the only song we added this week. Brooke, how was your week?
My week was good. We record on a Wednesday,
yes.
Most likely. Today's Wednesday. Last week when we recorded
was also Wednesday.
Wow.
What was the day after that?
Well, that was Thursday.
And
but
tomorrow?
If I needed to back up to when I got ready, that was the Wednesday morning. And then the night before was Tuesday night, which is when I took a shower to be ready for Wednesday morning.
Got it. Okay. We're with
you. Yeah, so my week was good. I'm kind of like, whoa, we're here.
Yeah.
So on Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning, I panic packed for my trip.
Yeah.
It was like, I always pack. I don't pack in advance. I never have. Yeah. And I felt less of a need to be prepared this year because naturally I am just more prepared. I own luggage now.
Wow.
I own enough clothing now to pack for a trip.
Wow.
Right. So things in my life.
And you're like, I have underwear.
I like it.
Exactly. I own underwear now. It's a great feature of life. DM me if you want to know it because I love it so much, but I'm also not going to talk about it on here. But not right now because I'm not on Instagram. So maybe just wait a second. Or you can text me. Anyway. It's fine. It's great.
Wow.
Not the point.
I don't know what this button is.
Well, press it. Are you nervous?
Do I regret it? Yes. Would I do it again? Probably.
Okay, now I know.
Yeah. You just write regret.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can give you my pen, but you can't write on it. Anyway, so I packed in the morning.
To go to Florida.
You were going to Florida
for?
Like a beauty counter leaders, like unrelated to corporate. Like it was not a beauty counter retreat.
Friends.
It's just people in the business that I know
and you're like.
In my organization, if you will.
Yeah.
So I got to go and one of my friends got to come with me, which was super fun. And it was awesome. I mean, I always enjoy being somewhere else. I don't love getting there.
Right.
And of course, when you travel without kids, you're like, oh my word, this is so easy.
I
can be on this plane for 12 years. 12 hours. Not 12 years.
Unless you were lost.
Whoa.
Well,
I was just going to say,
Like,
at the very
look at
opening scene where he wakes up,
Yeah.
like in the, I was like, oh, he's not saying anything. I can't do that. Anyway. And then the dog comes, right? Lost. What a great show. Very confusing, but great show. So yeah, my trip was really enjoyable. Some of the people I knew, some of them I didn't. I knew like from the internet,
Right.
but actually met in real life, which was really cool.
Always fun.
Yes, just to be like, whoa, here you are.
Yeah, you're a real person.
In the flesh. So it was nice to be, it wasn't warm. It was cold, just as cold as it was here, but it was cold on the beach.
So,
and there were
good.
palm trees and things
Yeah.
were still green. And the sand there is white and beautiful. And you look over the dunes and you're like, is that snow? Like, it's so
Yeah.
cool. I find all that visually, that is so inspiring to me because I am a visual person like that.
Any big takeaways? Any little takeaways?
Hmm.
Any medium-sized takeaways?
Probably.
Did you get takeaway?
We did. We
Nice.
did eat takeaway. Although it wasn't Chinese food. We tried.
Yeah.
Everything was closed. It was very confusing.
Yeah. Okay.
I ate a lot of really good Mexican food. One of which was like, well, I ate queso. That was amazing. That's a given. And then I ate some like cauliflower bites with like a spicy pepper ranch on top,
Ooh.
which there was just like little deep fried cauliflower guys, and they were excellent. Or gals. I don't know. They were delicious. Future's female. Um,
I've convinced June that cauliflower is broccoli's cousin.
yeah, it's great.
And since you love your cousin and you like broccoli, you're going to like cauliflower.
Right. Has it worked?
Depends on the day.
Yeah. No, the one thing I got that was so good was like an avocado bowl.
We're talking about food still.
Yes, we're still. Oh yeah, we're still back here, which I've had before, but their version was so good. So it's sort of like a salad. It's like a Mexican salad, except there's no lettuce underneath. It's just an open avocado. Not your thing, I know.
I'm sorry. Am
Chill
I making
out.
a face?
Only a little bit.
Okay.
Although your arm is blocking your face, so now I can see it. Anyway, it was delicious. It had like roasted corn and all that good cheese and all the things, and I housed it.
Yeah. So that was your main
That was my
takeaway?
main takeaway. No, we were talking about takeaway food. I definitely had some takeaways. Of course, in this moment, I can't think of any of them, but it was just encouraging to feel like, oh yeah, there's other people out there in this world who are like me or have similar goals as me, and it was just nice
Good to
to just
be in community.
yeah.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
person. Awesome. Well, while you were gone, I was home with two wonderful, beautiful little children. It was pretty low key. Like we actually had a lot to do because we had we had a birthday party to go to. We had two birthday parties to go to. One for one of my nephews, and then one for my mom.
Mhm.
And then my mom invited us over for dinner the night in between those. So like the biggest stress for me sometimes when I'm home alone with the girls is like, what am I going to cook them? I don't have a wide variety of options in terms of cooking, and they're kids, so they're honestly hard to cook for.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know, it's like I can't make them chicken wings because they won't eat them, and
Yeah.
so like, man, they're a waste if you're not gonna eat them. So like, that pressure was taken off because I got invited to so many places. So that was fun. Really, like, I just love one-on-one time. I love out of the ordinary time with our girls. Like, so, like, June had school on Friday, which was, I'm not gonna lie, a little rough to get up because normally, like, we get up as a family. One of us stays home with Sunny, and the other one, and usually me, I
Takes
drive June to school. So it's not like it was early to do. Like, although where were we that night before?
Snaps.
So we were out kind of late. So like they were tired. Like I woke them both up from a dead sleep, but it was a challenge to get them both out the door
On time.
from a dead sleep because
Yeah.
I had to get Sunny dressed. I couldn't just put like,
Yeah.
you know, and then at the last hour, she's like, I want to wear a dress. And I was like, oh, this is a quicker solution than trying to convince you not to. So we
Yeah.
changed. And then June was like, I want to wear a dress. And I was like, okay, today's a dress day. Let's do it. But like June was at school. I was at home with Sunny by myself, one-on-one. And like that, I always enjoy those moments because like,
Yeah.
you know, there's so much value, and especially after reading this book, one-on-one time is very important for a father-daughter relationship. I mean, it's important for every relationship, but so like we got into this rhythm of like we would dance and we would run in circles in the living room.
Yep.
And we did that every day you were gone. And like that was the thing.
I love it.
And she wants to lay on the ground, put her feet up in the air, let me grab her ankles and swing her upside down. And she loves it.
Yeah.
It is it's a workout.
Yeah.
Because it's
Your
like
lower
a
back is
kettlebell swing, but with legs and arms and a head.
I had an opinion.
Yeah. But it was super fun. They definitely missed you, which is also really endearing and sweet. I miss mommy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, even like this morning, or maybe it was last night, Sunny was like, "You're back.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
came back."
Yeah.
She's like still remembering, oh, that's right, you were gone.
Yeah.
And you are still back.
And like, but I definitely work when I'm solo. I want to make bedtime as easy as possible because that's
Yeah.
always, a tension point, and I think with all kids. And so my goal is to make them so tired during the day
The bedtime's easier.
that bedtime's easier.
Which sometimes can backfire.
Sometimes it can backfire, and the emotions are, they
Are greater than-
they lose all
limp noodle body.
and so that can be challenging. But like there were times where I would put Sunny to bed, and by the time I got to June's room, she was already asleep.
That's awesome.
Which I was like, yes.
I'm amazing.
I wore you out. So yeah, it was good. I finished my first book of 2021.
Yeah.
Hearing God by Nathan Finocchio.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I feel like it hit hard on the end, which is a challenge.
Just like I plan to do in life.
Yeah.
It's gonna be my
you
sweet
get through
spot.
you get
I'm
through
gonna get
hour
to my
40,
final pages.
45, and
There she is.
There she is. After you get through book 1, 2, and 3, which are also about 50 hours each. But this book was really good. It was good the whole way through, but the end really hit, I think, really well. And yeah, I'm proud of myself. I finished one. I'm on to the second.
Yeah.
The goal is to read 2 nonfiction books a month. Brooke has noted, I like seeing you read all the time. And I'm like, well, I have to because this is a hard goal for me. I don't think I'm a fast reader.
I wouldn't say you're a slow reader, but yeah.
But so like one of my favorite parts of this book was he was talking about like the general will of God and the specific will of God. And he was using the story in Matthew when Jesus tells them to get in the boat and go to the other side. And this is the time when Peter walks on water.
Mm.
And I think I have that name right. I don't know now. Now I'm doubting everything. Bible quizzing
Much
team.
like Peter.
Nice. Knowledge. And so he's telling this story about like most of these guys were fishermen, and he's telling them to get in this boat, and he's painting a picture of like they could probably see that a storm was coming. Like they weren't dummies. They could probably, understand the clouds and like, the way the sky looked, and they still got in the boat. And he was talking about like, that's the general will of God. Like you listen to what he says in the Bible and you get in the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And you just believe that you believe that's where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, and oftentimes people think that they need to have like a prophetic word or this like holy, experience and moment. And like, well, the general will of God is just to show up and get in that boat,
Mm-hmm.
Even when you see a storm and a storm is going to hit, like you're just going to be in that boat.
Yeah.
And so like he says this, the general will boat got all the disciples to the other side. It gets the job done. Even if you've never had a prophetic word in your life, just do what the Bible tells you to do, work hard, develop your skills, and stay in community, and you'll absolutely be doing God's specific will without ever necessarily hearing it. And then he referred it to sort of like marriage and jobs.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate this perspective because I think it's like, it's not a flashy perspective. It's certainly not a perspective that a lot of people have in culture anymore. And I'm reading this, but I don't like, sometimes I feel like people will read this negatively, and this is as positive as it gets, I think, for if you can get in this mindset. This is my marriage, and I love my wife, and God gave her to me when I was a single loser without any prospects, and I'm called to this boat no matter what happens. I'm not jumping ship because this is my boat. God told me to be in this boat 10 years ago, and I'm staying. And like, I love that. I feel like that is a lost part of culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just really encouraged by it. Like, or this is my job. God gave it to me when I prayed for a job, and I'm coming in early and leaving late and loving every minute of it because God gave it to me. And until he says otherwise, I'm going to dominate it. And like, I just loved it. I just love that part and love that like encouragement of like God, God's will, his general will boat is not necessarily going to be a flashy cruise line.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be the simplest thing, but if you stick it out and are faithful and obedient, his glory will shine through, even something simple. So
yeah,
really liked it. We'll recommend it. We'll link it in the show notes.
I love it.
Book 1 done. I took a selfie with it too. That's going to be my thing.
Nice.
Selfies with book. Selfies with books with TJ. Book selfies with TJ. There it is.
There it is.
Okay.
That's good.
Anything else to add to that?
No.
Okay. So we're 13 days into the year. We're 13 days off social media. Any sort of new developments in your brain?
In my brain space, in my great brain?
Yeah.
No, I continue to...
Good brain. Great skull.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I continue to have clarity over things. Yeah. No, I wouldn't say there's anything new.
Yeah. I would say that mine is, I feel last year, probably at this time, I probably felt like, wow, we've been doing this a long time. This year,
I can't believe it's been 13 days.
It feels like a breeze, honestly.
Yeah.
And it feels like a more, last year, and I said this last week a little bit, like last year was definitely, there was a challenge aspect to it, a relearning of habits. Mm-hmm. This year, I feel like those habits are more in place. And so I feel like I'm enjoying the refreshment more.
Yeah.
Even though it's not necessarily, like, even though it's not as challenging, I feel like it's been more refreshing in an easier way. Like, it feels like a refreshing breeze. Like, it feels like a breeze to be 13 days in, and I don't feel like, oh, what am I missing? What do I need to check? Like,
yeah.
You know, those noises. I do feel a lot of clarity. I feel like this, anyways, I'll get into that later. So today, what you've all been waiting for, what kind of show are we doing? You know.
I do.
So we do shows sometimes that are
no notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes?
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No.
No notes. So this is not a no notes show. I'm calling it a your notes show.
Okay.
So I changed the word, but it still sounds the same.
Very clever.
So your notes show means we went to the YouTube comments, because you can comment on episodes specifically, and we copied and pasted a bunch of comments and we printed them. I don't know what's going on there. We copy pasted them with a computer, and then we hand scrawled them into a stone. We printed that stone onto paper, and here we are. And so we're going to read through some of these, hoping it sparks discussion, hoping it doesn't just fill with awkward silence, hoping that, you know, it encourages you to engage with us in the comments so that we can answer questions, because a few people actually have questions in here, which I thought was really cool. And that we can also just encourage you as you go through your sort of beginning of the year rhythms and goals and language and all that kind of stuff. So here we go. Let's see how it goes.
We're not reading out loud every single comment. I'm just using it as a jumping point.
You know, you can obviously read parts of it, because some of them are just funny. Some of them do have questions. This has definitely got no notes vibes though, because we didn't like memorize what people said. We literally just copied and pasted them about 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Well, it's 27 minutes in, maybe like 35 minutes ago. So I'll start. I'll read the first one. We challenged you the first episode of the year to tell us a rhythm, a goal, an interest in something you're letting go of. And people are still kind of filling those in, which if you haven't, that would be great, because that is inspiring to me. And I feel, I don't know if you feel this way, I feel it's super inspired by the comments of people who are trying to take some of what we say into action. Like, I love the funny comments. Don't ever stop roasting us or being funny about us. Like, I love that part, but I also really do appreciate people that are like, well, here's my rhythm, here's my goal, because I think, like, sometimes when you're talking in a room, when we're just talking to each other and we don't necessarily know where it's going, like, yes, I can see the listens, yes, I can see the views, and I understand that people are absorbing this content. It sometimes feels like, but are they, like, does it matter? Does it have a purpose? And that's why we try to really, like, say, hey, one, it makes us feel better. I can be totally honest. Like, it makes me feel really great to see people commenting 100%, but it also encourages us to, like, keep going, keep our personal journey of digging deep to find helpful things and things we've read to, like, share, because if we know it's helping, we'll keep going. Yeah. You know, and so we'll be more engaged if you're more engaged, and it'll be like this nice, cool circle of engagement. So Jennifer, Jennifer said, Rhythm, put my clothes away when I'm done with them. If I could snap, okay, here's a question for you. If you could have the power to snap and one thing was done.
Only one
thing, what would it be? mine wouldn't be putting laundry away, but like that's pretty close.
Ours would be the kids would be in bed and asleep.
The kids would be in bed and asleep. Snap,
Yes.
that's done.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'm not sure if that's mine anymore. I
mean,
think
it is a sweet spot and sweet moments with them.
I think mine would be the kids ate their dinner. Right now, that is
Yeah.
because it's like, and sometimes June will eat 4 pieces of pizza. And sometimes she'll say, I don't like pizza. I've never liked pizza. And you're just like, the rage that burns within me towards you, child, is fierce. It's like the Everstorm on Roshar. Anyways,
Yeah.
I know that one of our fans listens to those books. And
it.
so like, she's all in.
I love it.
She's all in here. She's here for the Way of Kings mentions. What would yours be? Bed?
I say that, and then I actually feel a little guilty about that.
Or to have the effects of extreme physical fitness. Like, oh, I'm going to work out super hard for an hour.
Boom.
Done.
That'd be pretty great.
That would, yeah, I think that would be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would save you a lot of
It
time.
would save me a lot of time. But are we getting into a click situation starring Adam Sandler where now I'm fast forwarding through all those moments and then I'm an old man filled with regret? Is Click a prequel to Inception? Wow. There's
Got
a fan.
the man down in there.
There's a fan theory for you. Adam Sandler turns into an old Asian man
Yes.
in Inception because of the remote from Click.
Filled with regrets. It's a great movie.
So good. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, rhythm, put clothes away, which is great. That's definitely a struggle for us. We get clothes into baskets.
They're clean. And then we live out of the baskets
and
half
then,
the time.
And then the baskets also then sometimes get dirty clothes in them and you're in this.
Because you're like, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah.
Goal, read 33 books in 2021. That's a lot of books.
Yeah.
She's up to 1. So am I. No big deal. Interest, be more involved in things, i.e. looking into becoming a beauty counter consultant. That's why I pasted this comment.
I love it. I actually need to text her back.
Okay.
It's in my app.
Oh. You got a texty text coming your way, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Brooke does beauty counter. And it's amazing. Letting go the feeling that I'm not enough for people. God made me the way I am for a reason. I have things to offer. My heart is good. Ooh, love that. Anyways, anything that you're noticing on the Your Notes show?
No, because
I like it.
yeah, I just flipped to the second page. Oh, this is funny. So somebody bought the nail kit that I was talking about, the salon, the
Olive and June manicure kit.
Yes. Which, remember those 200 boxes I was talking about last week?
Okay, yeah. So you got 200 boxes.
I got 200 boxes. Guess what showed up on my doorstep? 200 nail polishes to go
Also,
in
200 flat boxes.
200 boxes. Also, yeah, literally 200 boxes to fill with things. A lot of stuff showing up.
A lot of
now.
stuff. And we don't exactly have a house built for all of these things.
No. Anyway.
Well, we're making it work.
I've got 200 nail polishes downstairs and I kind of want to open them up.
Yeah.
But
Sunny did ask me to paint her nails a few times while you were gone. And I was just like,
oh,
and I can do it.
yeah, you can. You have.
I have. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm excited. Her name's Caroline. Caroline.
it's Caroline Brian. It's Brian.
I love that she got it because it really is great. And I think I feel silly talking about it so much because I was not someone who got my nails done anyway.
Right.
Like ever.
Yeah.
And so to be like, I love this. It's so great. I can do it at home makes me sound like I have something to compare it to.
Right.
And I don't. You
just have your garbage troll hands to compare it to.
Right.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
they're
it's
not.
like troll hands versus now painted troll hands. So it's a real nice feature of that kit or set or whatever they call it. Oh,
Garbage. I think the word.
I actually don't mind my hands.
You got great hands, babe. The word garbage though in front of stuff like garbage.
Garbage panda. Was that it? Trash panda for another name for a vacuum.
It gets me.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rebecca says, love your podcast, recently found it, and I do art sewing projects. I'm a college freshman, been falling walk in love since high school because my older sister loved your brand. I love to do the small pop-ups, business cards, small pop-up businesses like cars, and right now I'm making custom embroidered masks. However, my major is not business. Any advice and experience about what your college major was and how you transitioned into business, trying to figure it out if it's naturally what God has put in my heart or if it should remain a hobby. Is the right college major underrated? I think that's a great question. And
is the right college major underrated? I'm confused on how to answer that.
Well, I think we can answer the first part where it's like any advice on your major not being business. Like, I think she's just like, I think Jebecca is feeling what a lot of people feel like. I think culturally we say like, oh, you got to pick your track and you got to run down it. You can't divert. And if you divert,
it means you regret everything you did.
You've wasted time.
Yeah.
You have failed. You're not doing the right thing. Now you're doing the wrong thing. Before you were on the right track. Now you're on the wrong track. If you go back, now you look even like a double failure. And I just kind of reject all of that, full stop. Like, I think that we are constantly being pruned and formed into more of his likeness by our experiences and by what, as long as we're asking and willing and humbling ourselves. Like, and so I wouldn't fret so much about which major you're taking.
Yeah. I
have a lot of strong feelings about college in general. Mostly based on the cost, the return on the investment. Yeah. Like I often think that a lot of college students do not get a good return on their investment. And that is frustrating to me for people to start out so in the hole when it comes to finances, because that is a hard hole to dig yourself out of.
Sure is.
And so what I would say is like, and Brooke kind of mentioned this a few weeks ago, is like adjusting as you go doesn't mean you're failing, and you don't need to proclaim your 10-year business goal at the hobby level. And I think a lot of culture and a lot of like sort of business hustle culture kind of makes you feel that way, where you're like, oh, I need to understand what it's like going to be to run an empire before I even decide to run a side hobby.
Yeah.
A side hustle, which I don't like the word, but like a side business.
I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
And so like, it can just be what it is. And if it starts to grow and you see it start to grow, well, then give it a little more time and attention. And if it starts to grow more, well, then give it a little more time and attention. And eventually there will be some tension of like, I have a job, I have this side thing. What do I choose? What do I do? I think, the ability to work for yourself often kind of, especially if you're a risk taker, will kind of win out in the end normally.
Yeah.
But like, don't feel like you need to be 10 years down the road when you're on step one.
Yeah.
And don't feel like doing two things at once means you're failing one or the other.
Right.
Like I think there's wisdom in pursuing, I think there's wisdom in pursuing a college degree that you're passionate about and that you think has great job prospects while also potentially building this side business. Like, cause I went to school for film and media arts and I started walking love in college.
Yeah.
And at no point was I like, well, I got to stop doing film.
Right.
Because I have this
I have this thing that could be something
someday.
Yeah.
And like vice versa. It wasn't like, well, I have to stop this side thing because I have this film degree that I'm going to,
Yeah. Both and. It's okay. Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And the specific question was like more, however, my major is not business, which to me is sort of suggesting like, should maybe I switch it there if I'm liking this other thing? Like, I don't know. There are a ton of people with business degrees who don't own or work in business, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that, and this is just the way that I learn. I learn by doing.
Same.
I learn by walking through things. And so I don't know, business degree probably would have helped me, but I didn't have one, but I still run a business and I've learned a lot through running that business. So
there are times where we see more traditional business advice and we look at each other and are like, that would never work. That would never actually work in the real world of like moving quickly and doing things quickly in the business world.
And especially in today's day and age, you kind of have to adapt quickly. And so I don't know. But that's a good question. And we used to get a lot of questions about business. We don't talk about it very much anymore. It's kind of fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
are you saying see the world or sea world?
Wow. I don't know. Renee said, I feel so encouraged. I will be taking the rest of January off social media and limiting my phone time in general. I think that's a good habit. I think that's a good rhythm to get into. You don't necessarily need to do it for a month like we do, but I think a weekly rhythm of laying down your tools, specifically your phone, because it is such a tool in our life, is really healthy. And I think honoring to peace and rest in God.
Yeah.
And a lot of people agreed with you, babe, that during the sad segment, happy sad, they also feel it's more like happy rage fire. You had a lot of
sad is like, oh, I'm weeping somewhere. And I'm like, I'm not. I just, if I'm feeling feelings.
Someone suggested that Lizzie suggested that we called it happy crappy.
That's pretty good.
But I would say, I'm going to push back on that a little bit, Lizzie.
Yeah.
It's not.
Listen up, Lizzie.
Lizzie, listen up. Listen up. I got something to say. I wouldn't say that sad and crappy are synonyms. I'm trying to
Correct.
acknowledge that feeling sad and sorrow is not necessarily a bad thing. That is a lesson I'm trying to teach myself.
Yeah.
So I will not be changing it to happy crappy because
Although that's clever.
that is clever, and
I like it.
but I also don't like it.
No, she was saying that their family calls it that.
Oh yeah, I should read more of this.
Right. In our family, we call it happy crappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's good. It's good.
and
idea.
what we do right now in our family with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, almost a 3 and a 6, we at dinner do highlight of your day, which I think is really good and just a positive reinforcement of like acknowledging and using the language to kind of come up with good things that happened in the day. And then we ask the question, were there any hard moments of your day? Because like, I think you could be like, what was the low part of your day? And not that I don't mind that language, but like, I feel like that maybe it gives too much power to some of the low moments.
So the low feeling, versus just acknowledging it.
And that might just be my personality, but like I'd rather talk about what was hard to get through, because sometimes it's like, it was hard for me to wake up this morning. It was hard. Like,
right. But yet I wouldn't say waking up this morning was the low part of my day.
And so I think it gives us good language. Sunny is starting to get it, which is super cute. Highlight day. Highlight day was
my highlight day.
Going Yaya's house. Like, well, we did that 2 days ago. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So, anything else you're seeing on your notes show?
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes?
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No notes.
No.
There was another person that asked about sort of like, someone was acknowledging, which was really cool. Colleen was saying like how she started this upholstery business or some sort of sewing business and then had to lay it down, and is like kind of feeling those feels of where it goes to. And like, you know, we can speak to that in 2018 we laid down our business. 2020 was our best year ever. And not to say it'll turn around that fast or you'll get that sort of vision for it that quickly, but like God will honor being obedient, and he will honor laying it down, whether that is internally, in the spiritual sense, in the physical sense, like it'll be honored. And so just be encouraged that is a good move and you're doing the right thing. And like, you know, but don't stop dreaming. Don't stop, you know, writing down.
Don't stop
believing. Yeah.
That happened.
That there was.
Yeah, I mean, I like, because I met some new people this weekend. Somewhere in the weekend, I was trying to explain like, oh, we used to do this and then we stopped and now we do this, you know. And when I was talking about us stopping the business, like we really thought we were done.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pause. It wasn't anything, like we were done. And someone asked like, you know, how are you okay with that? Or how were you okay with that? And I was like, you know, there are times where it is just obedience for obedience sake.
Yeah. And that was a phrase that we used a lot.
Yeah. And like, it's not, I didn't do it
to feel a certain way, or
turn my life around in 5 years and like have this or whatever. And like there, you know, if you think about it like a parent to a child, like June has started saying to me, lovely, oh, why do I always have to do everything you tell me to do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, gosh, I gave her some perspective yesterday or whenever it was. And I was like, well, and I named all these things that she had made the decision on. And then even she was like, oh, like she realized, oh, I actually make a lot of my own decisions. And I was like, you just have to go pee right now. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know, but there are times where I'm like, that's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, I'm just asking you to do what I'm asking you to do because.
Yeah. Just get in the boat.
Like,
Just get in the boat.
Yeah. Go pee. Not in the boat, but you know.
Yeah.
Come
Unless
on.
it has a bathroom. I don't know what kind of boat you have.
Could be a big boat. But
boats.
boats.
Yeah. There is an element of that, you know, is hard. It's just like, well, I see a storm coming, or I don't know, you know, because we talked about this a lot during those 6 months of sort of uncertainty, is like, I feel like I'm just floating in the ocean and I don't know where I'm going. And it's a little scary. And sometimes it just feels like, well, if I go back, if I just paddle back, at least that's familiar.
Yes.
And that always was the conversation, is like, but God didn't ask us to stay on that shoreline. He asked us to get in the boat.
Yeah.
And we got in the boat and we end up on, you know, a different shoreline that has been so fruitful and amazing in so many different ways. And so like encouragement to the people out there who maybe are feeling like, I'm being obedient, It's very hard. It's very challenging. And sometimes obedience isn't like, I'm going to stop doing this thing or start this whole new thing. Like sometimes it's like,
right.
and like for us this year, it was like, we're going to make family dinner and Sabbath a priority. And like, that was obedience. And obviously there were times where, you know, do we really want to do this? Like, do we like, you know,
Right.
but it is so valuable and important. And it was just obedience for obedience sake. It was the rhythm of being obedient. And now it is, and like this book says about hearing from God, it's like faith is a byproduct of hearing from God, and hearing from God, you know, comes from just listening to what he says you should do.
Yeah.
And so like so obedience is such a good trait to have and acknowledge in your life, but it's something that is hard to achieve because it takes sacrifice, it takes faith, it takes adjustments, it takes laying one's tools down, like all those things that we talk about, because it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
You gonna read something?
No, I'll save it for another time. It's not the best segue. I'd rather give this a whole section
Nice.
of talking about something.
Well, speaking of obedience, I saw a comment on the one of the YouTubes was, I just gave my first tithe yesterday.
I saw that one.
Oh, that like kind of makes me a little bit emotional, a little teary eyed. I read, oh man, it was one of Donald Miller's books back in college. And because we've talked about giving and generosity and things like that. And I remember he tells a story. I don't know if it's Blue Like Jazz or one of his other ones. He tells this story about this guy he met who had this jar on his desk and it just said God's money on it. And Donald was like, what is that? And he tells the story. And obviously he's a great writer and, you know, he's a good storyteller. And he was like, basically the story was like, well, this is God's money, you know? And he's like, when I go to church next time, I'll give it to him. And I just remember being like, I don't look at money that way. I just, you know, I just have. And occasionally if I'm in church and an offering bucket comes by and I sort of feel guilty, I'll, you know, toss some in. And so it was at that moment in college that I was like, no, I'm going to be serious about this. And obviously I didn't have a ton of money. I was in college. And, you know, I find so much encouragement of like, if you can be faithful with the small things that God gives you, you can be faithful with the big things that he gives you. Yeah. Generous, etc. And so to the person who tithed for the first time, like you have started down a journey that will end with you doing things with your offering and tithe and money that you thought were never possible. And so like, that's what gives me the goosebumps thinking about it, because it's just like, if I could tell college TJ
what your practice of obedience then would lead
like,
to a rhythm and a muscle memory now.
That you're almost that quite frankly, I'm excited to jump into. Like he would have been like, no way. Yeah. You know, and so like I'm super excited about that comment. Like that is just so cool.
I like it.
Oh, that's too low.
I like it.
Much better.
So Madison said that she her rhythm that she wants to add this year is resting well, which means establishing morning and evening rhythms which both replace being on my phone and social media with spending time in the Word and journaling in the morning, of actually having conversations with my husband before bed. Love that. Opening up and developing healthy communication with your spouse will change your world, will change your life, will change everything about you.
I think the easy thing to say is like, it'll change your marriage. But I honestly think it'll change your life is a way better statement. Yeah.
And something that was helpful for us was, you know, we talk about this all the time. And we actually, the other day when Brooke got back, on Monday, we had like a work day because the girls, you know, June was at school, Sunny was with her grandparents. And so like, we were like, what are we going to do today? And we kind of dumped out what we've been thinking and what's been on our hearts. And I think the Brooke being away, the social media, the lack of social media, the lack of distraction really allowed us to have this very deep and honest conversation that was not hostile. It was not sad. It was not depressing, but it was so good and helpful and not healing because there was nothing damaging being talked about. But it was like, I'm sure that if other couples had been in on that conversation, they would have been like, man, you guys talk. That was so intense. But to us,
it wasn't intense at all.
It wasn't intense at all.
Yeah.
But because we do a few things, which I'm going to explain to hopefully help Madison, it makes those conversations so much easier. And so those two things I've learned from my friend, Dr. Josh Straub, who's a medical doctor.
I just got that. I was so ready to listen to what you have to say.
One of which we talk about all the time, which is the chair behind you.
Yeah.
And, we express our emotions and feelings in the chair that we're sitting in. And sometimes those come out as like anger or frustration or resentment or bitterness or whatever.
Fire. Yeah,
rage fire, a burning rage fire of 1,000 suns. The chair behind us that's empty, that we're not sitting in it, is that we're hurt from something that has happened or from some wound or whatever. And so like Brooke and I having the language to say, well, the chair behind me is this, gives us such a deeper connection and an ability to really address the real problem. And then we are like, and so the bleacher behind me, way back is that,
in the back.
Do I regret it? Yes. Would I do it again? Probably.
Right.
It's like I had a large head as a kid, and so I still feel some hurt from that. And so it's hard for me to wear hats, But that has been super helpful, Madison, to just like understand that concept and that process. And we're actually I've been talking to Josh. I want him to record like a little sort of.
You want to hear him explain.
I want to hear him explain it, and then we're gonna like talk about it on the podcast at some point, because it's so good. And then the other thing that he recommends, which we did for a while, and now just it naturally happens in our life, is a 15-minute check-in at the end of each day, which it sounds like that's what you're trying to do.
I love it.
And the two questions that he gave us that were super helpful were, what was your strongest positive emotion of the day? And what was your strongest negative emotion of the day? And I'll never forget it. One time Brooke said, what would you say? Regret was your
a word I don't normally use.
And I was like, whoa, tell me about that. Like we had never talked about
Adam Sandler in the depths of Inception. I know. Regret.
Oh, that was good. That was good. That was really good. I had never talked with you about regret until that moment.
Because I honestly don't regret a lot in my life.
Yeah.
Because I'm so cautious on the front end, which is how.
And so that surprised me, and it allowed
downfalls.
us to, and it allowed, I was like, all right, we're peeling back this onion, baby. And it was like really cool. And it wasn't regret about anything that I'd done. So it was an easy conversation for me to have, because I wasn't like, oh gosh,
it's me.
Yeah. So that's really cool. And those have been super, super helpful. So Madison, if you're adding that rhythm, those two questions might help.
Yeah.
Go
up to Katie for a second. She's talking about Sabbath and how like it's easy to do it for a while, but then you kind of get out of it. And like, she's going to talk about that. And then she said, do either of you have any advice for how to rest your mind and include that aspect into Sabbath? Were you going to say something?
No, I mean, always.
Yeah, go for it. No, go for it.
So I read that comment and I kind of forgot about it. I think that some people, and I don't know if Katie is one of these people, but I can sometimes put myself in this boat where I have this romanticized version of what Sabbath should look like. Mm-hmm. That I'm going to sit and my coffee's going to steam out through the Jesus light that's shining through the window.
Yep.
And I don't know why my coffee's steaming. I get iced coffee, but it's still going to somehow do that.
Coffee whipped cream. Yeah.
Coffee with cream. Coffee with cream. Coffee with cream. Coffee with cream. And like the girls are going to sleep in till 9 o'clock, and I'm going to have hours to study and read and journal and do all these things, feel all these things that will then produce this restful kind of peaceful mind throughout the day.
Right.
The reality is that June comes in our bed, comes into our room and wakes us up almost every Sabbath.
Yeah.
And so I don't get up early. I ignore my alarm a bunch of times to do that, but it doesn't happen. And so I would say, like, don't be like one of my pieces of advice for people who are starting out is like, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't.
What was Jeremy's phrase? There's no judgment
on the Sabbath.
Or shame or guilt or there was a word. Yeah.
And there's a verse on the Sabbath and festivals and stuff like that. And so that would be my first piece of advice, is like, try to find some peace in that idea that there's that it's not going to be this romantic perfect idea.
Yeah.
And then 2, like, resting your mind does not necessarily mean you have to be reading or meditating or praying or doing those like things that are often like sometimes for me to rest my mind on a Sabbath, I do yard work.
Right.
I put on my favorite album. I kind of do something that I normally don't do during the week, which is work in the yard, because all of my work has to do with screens and technology. Right. And so to detach from technology will actually bring a lot of rest to my mind. And a lot of times I'll listen to audiobooks, or I'll watch a movie, or like I'll do things that like you'd be like, well, that's not restful. But for me, it is. And for me, I find a lot of rest in like just enjoying a movie without also being on my phone or also being on my computer or also like trying to, get kids to eat. Like I'll just sit there and enjoy it. And like I'll even ask Brooke, hey, can I go watch a movie today in the basement by myself? And so like, don't feel like you need to have this like holy kind of like moment, because sometimes it's those other simpler moments that will actually bring you rest to like a kind of frantic mind. And I think like engaging physically is sometimes a really great way to do that. So like if you don't normally do yard work or normally don't craft or like make stuff with your hands, maybe try that for a while. Like baking bread is another way that I do it, where it's like I'm doing something physical and I can kind of zone out, and good music and that kind of stuff. So what about you?
For me, resting my mind looks like, I don't want to say resting my body because that makes it sound like I'm not going to do something physical. And that's not really what I mean. But like, I have found a lot of it. This is new to us, like the last 2 weeks. We said it last week, the concept of laying down your tools for Sabbath.
Yeah.
And so
that phrase is just like, we're going to get used to it.
Yes.
It's here to stay.
Because when I pictured that, like, okay,
I like it.
I do. If I picture that, I'm going into my 24 hours of Sabbath. And if I'm going to lay my tools down and trust that God is going to redeem my time wasted, quote unquote, when I picture what I'm laying down, it looks different a little bit for different seasons. Like I've got, some stuff that I use for work. So like my phone would be one of those tools because that is a big part of my work, but like I'm trying to think of better examples, but that is super helpful to me. And so if I can rest my mind, here we are, by changing my mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like just knowing, okay, I'm setting down my tools for the day, which frees me up to do these other things, which shifts my mindset from like, what am I going to do specifically to rest today? And what's it going to be?
Right.
And like, how am I going to...
What tool do I need to use to rest?
Right.
Like,
yes. And it's like, some days it looks like me making something, and other
Yeah.
days I take a nap, and other times I make a whole meal for us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not always the same.
Yeah.
And I try to
And does it actually
be okay with
help
that.
you to physically picture are you taking off a tool belt, or is it tool sash, or like is it a backpack?
I think it's a tool belt, which is
Okay.
funny because I don't even know exactly what else is in there.
Like, how is it, is it bedazzled or?
It's not bedazzled.
Okay, not yet.
I'll get to that
Yeah.
on Sabbath.
Yeah.
I'll get out my bedazzler and make that happen. But those things are real.
Yeah, my grandma has one.
Yeah, I'm aware. I know.
Well, thank you for joining us for this Your Note show. Let us know if you like it. Let us know if it was cool. It definitely would have helped if we had more questions and not just comments.
Yes.
So like in the future, if we do it again, like if you ever have a question, put it in the comments on the YouTube, because then we'll
catch it there.
We'll catch it there, and it'll be super helpful. I have some strong feelings. We have some strong feelings and some happy, sad before we go.
Okay.
My strong feelings, and I had two strong feelings this week. One, I do not like going to bed when Brooke is away.
Mm-hmm.
I avoid it at all costs. I don't know why. And it's not like, I wouldn't say Brooke's a big snuggler in bed, or like, like I just miss her presence in bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like, I don't enjoy it while you're gone. I don't enjoy sleeping. I just like, I try to avoid it. So I stay up late and I watch a lot of TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to find a TV show that like, maybe it's a new one that I can just watch while you're gone. I'll binge through it and then I'll be done with it. And so that leads me to my second part of strong feelings. Stop making bad TV shows.
Some of them are so bad.
So
how does it get past all the things it needs to get past to go, yep, this is a great idea?
Yeah, so infuriating. And like we don't watch as much TV as we used to. So like I don't have time for bad TV shows.
Right.
Like I want it to be good and I want to enjoy it and I want to just be able to like step into this world and enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I was like clicking through, and this is what I usually do when Brooke's gone. I subscribe to the free trial of said streaming
platform.
service to just be like, what shows are there? What movies are there? Can I just watch a bunch while she's gone? And then I'll, cancel my free trial. So I did that with AMC Plus, which is like Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead. And they have a bunch of other shows. I started watching this bunch. I can't remember the name, but within 10 minutes, I was like, I'm out. The main character was so unlikable within the first 10 minutes. I was like, why would I ever root for this guy? So I'm out.
Yeah.
I used to like The Walking Dead early on. And then it just like seemed to go on forever. I never really got into Fear the Walking Dead because we never had a way to watch it.
Yeah.
But they have this new one called something, I don't know. I don't know what it's called, but it's like about
It's within the world of Walking Dead.
Within the world of Walking Dead, they're teenagers who have spent their whole life living in this zombie apocalyptic world.
Okay.
Within the first 45 seconds, I was
terrible.
like, this show's going to be bad.
Isn't that crazy?
And so I was like, I don't want to waste my time. I'm going to go to the reviews. And I had so much entertainment reading the reviews of people just roasting this show.
Yeah.
So I made it 45 seconds and then laughed at the reviews and never didn't finish it. But my strong feelings are stop making bad TV shows. Those are my feelings, and they're strong.
Yeah.
Strong feelings.
Mine are that I can eat Mexican food every day of my life.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
And
amen. Hallelujah.
period.
And just end of
I'm
statement.
like I'm not going to judge myself for that.
Yeah.
It's where I'm at.
I could not only eat Mexican food every day of my life, I could eat Mexican food every meal every day of my life. Like start off with some, egg burritos, maybe some tacos for lunch, maybe some nachos for dinner.
Breakfast tacos are excellent.
Those are good.
I'm
Those
also
are strong
very hungry
feelings.
right now. I'm like shutting down.
So happy, sad?
Yeah.
Happy, sad. Happy, sad. Happy, sad.
Maybe that.
Maybe that.
I don't want to end on a sad note though.
Sad?
We're uncertain.
I have a lot of joy about this. I hinted at a project that I called a home run last week. We talked about being 6 days in and of no social, and I had all these ideas, and I landed on one. The steps have been taken to make that idea a reality, and I have a lot of excitement about it.
It's good.
And I feel like it's good. I feel like it's a good one. I feel like, and I felt that before, and it hasn't always turned out, but I just feel like
my track record's not great.
my track record is not
but
great.
I believe in myself.
It's like,
I feel very blessed.
right.
don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't really have a sad this week. I missed you while you were gone. There were times where the girls made me have some rage fire. I think it should be called Happy Rage Fire.
Well, that's probably more accurate for us, but
anyways,
yeah.
You got any happy rage fire for us?
My happy was, like I said earlier, just that being somewhere else, literally just seeing with my eyeballs a different part of the United States where people eat different things and do different things. Like, it's just so enjoyable. I had really good sushi. I had really...
You're definitely hungry right now.
I am. I'm very hungry right now. But also, like, around here, like, we just kind of eat the places we eat.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm not going to go try a bunch of stuff. Places aren't open. You can't go inside. Like, I'm not out there finding things right now. And when you go somewhere else...
You have to find things because you have to eat.
You don't know where to start. And so...
That's how traveling works.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I found myself in Florida.
Yes. Whoa. And I had really good, like, cheesy grits. And it was just... It was so good, you guys. Okay. But my rage fire was, this is more of a quick tip, I think, than sad. Quick tip. Losing your ID in an airport is never a great idea. So that happened. I obviously had it. I got onto the plane. Got onto the second plane, go to rent a car. It's vanished.
Gone.
And I was certain, I was like, okay, it's not gone. It's just somewhere in this backpack. I can't find it. Everybody's waiting on me. I'm trying to do this. So somebody else rented the car and it was fine. And then I was like, I'll just dump out my bag when I get to the house.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. It's
dead,
like
every dead animal
that
has ever died.
It's gone.
Luckily, though.
However, the more you know. New segment.
Nice.
An expired passport, which is what I had with me, delightful, will function as a form of ID for up to a year. So mine
you can't leave the country, but you can travel.
Go in and out of the country, but it is a valid form of ID. So thankfully, I had a temporary
driver's license
printed out, an expired passport,
which we need to be renewed.
Right. So it can only be expired for a year. So mine expired in May. So I would have had until May to use this as my ID.
Yep.
And then I had if they had asked, I actually have a picture of my license. I had texted to you like 8 months ago for some reason. I was
want you to know
scrolling through our text history. I've got to have sent it to him.
That I did not get upset with you. when you
I
said
know.
that to me.
I didn't tell you that night. I told you the next morning.
There would be a moment in our relationship earlier where that would have been my rage fire for the
Right.
week. I will also let you know that I didn't tell my family of pilots and flight attendants
Thank you. I
that you
appreciate
did this.
that.
There is a chance though that Mama and Dad Macedas are listening to this right now.
Yes. Well, hey, I made it home.
Made
The
it
lady
home?
was super nice. I
Yep.
learned something about the passport. Because I kept retracing
And
my
that's
steps.
the worst
of,
though.
like,
You're just
where-
like, what?
I know, because I'm like, I didn't put anything in the seat back pockets because they were saying not to use them. Like,
Yeah.
don't shove all your
Yeah.
stuff in there. We're cleaning these too quickly. Like,
Yeah.
so I know I didn't think,
Yeah.
oh, I don't need this boarding pass.
And I guess the strong feeling is like, why do we have to take our ID out when we travel? Like,
I mean, where else would you have it? You
what,
have
can't
to
you
take
just
it
like
out.
get? I wish you could just like show, like, when I show my wallet to someone, like it's just there under the clear
You
thing.
mean physically
You got to
take it out of whatever
slide
we
it
have
out,
it in.
and then you put it in a pocket, and then you got to empty your pockets, and like there's
Right.
just a lot there, and so I understand why.
Fanny packs exist.
Yeah. Oh,
No, is that not where you were going with that?
man, bro, you're on fire lately. You were
Thank you.
so funny.
Thank you. I'm hungry.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
Well, thank you for listening. Obviously, what I said earlier still applies.
About what?
About the comments and just like
Oh,
how they're
oh, oh.
encouraging and like,
It was like blanket statement.
Yeah.
We still mean everything we
Yep.
just said.
I think we meant everything we said. No regrets, not even a single one. Brooke doesn't regret marrying me, and now here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know anything in the comments, really.
I love it. I love it.
I don't say it out of like, we like smash the subscribe button. Like, I don't mean it that way, but it is super helpful
Yes.
to understand what hits home, what topics are really helpful. Like, that is
Yes.
what I mean. And so that's where my reminder comes from. It comes from a heart of like, I want to be able to serve you well, listening, watching. And if you listen, you'll have to comment on the YouTube. So like, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all. That's all I'm saying. It still applies. Everything I said still applies, except maybe a few things. I don't know. Okay. Thank you for listening. Okay. I love you. Bye.